Hi there, it's Wee Claire here, and welcome to Fan Service powered by Streamily. In this podcast, we talk about what makes you a fan, and I'm joined today by the wonderful Wilson Cruz. Hello, Wilson. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
No problem. Well, we're just going to get right into it. When
Okay.
I was growing up, I was a fan of all sorts of things, 80s cartoons and music and things like that. But what made you a fan? What did you love growing up?
I mean, I was like a real, first of all, I'm Gen X, right? So I spent a lot of time at home without a babysitter in front of the TV. Well, I babysat my younger brothers, right? Our latchkey kid experience. I loved everything from like the facts of life to different strokes, a different world back in the day, Um, when I was even tinier, the Saturday morning cartoons I looked forward to the most were like, the Super Friends and the Justice League, very on brand. I mean, in terms of music, I was more of a Janet than a Madonna fan. I was a Michael and Prince fan. Like, there were people who were in one camp or the other, whereas I was squarely in both camps.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. There was such tribalism over
Oh
things
my
like
God,
that
it's
back in the
crazy.
day. Yeah, like really crazy. I remember I was a 90s teen, so I remember Blur and Oasis in the UK being the thing that separated you. Are you Blur or are you Oasis? I was in denial of my love of 80s pop music because I was trying to be cool, Wilson.
I was definitely not cool. I was
Same.
definitely not cool. Choir and in the student council, right? Like I was that guy.
Same.
I was, I was I was pretty active, I was
Mm.
a social person, but I was more of the nerd type that, when I got on stage, people appreciated me, but outside of the stage, they were like, "Oh, he's a dork."
At least you had the stage though, because
Yes.
I always wanted to be on the stage, but I was never encouraged. And then because I didn't look like all of my classmates and I was very
Mm,
bullied and
mhm.
they didn't understand why is our dad Chinese but our mom's Scottish, all these things. I just crept into myself.
Part of that's what I did too, because we were in Southern California and I'm Puerto Rican, and there aren't any Puerto Ricans in Southern California. It's mostly, or at least at the time, I should say. I don't know what it is now, but it's very Mexican and those kind of Latinos, and people didn't know where to place me. So they were like, "Oh, you must be half black and half Mexican." And I was like, "No, I'm from somewhere called Puerto Rico." And they were like, "Oh, isn't that like near Spain?" I was like, "No, that would be Portugal." So it's like, so I got bullied for that. I got bullied, for looking like this, that they couldn't put me in the very comfortable square they needed me in, and obviously for being apparently flamboyantly gay. Um, and but it make what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, isn't that what they say?
100%. I think as I've got older and maybe I don't know. I think back to your career, and I've listened to a lot of interviews with you as well. I've come out of myself more and be more proud to talk about where I am, who I am, and be more colorful and flamboyant in my older years, um,
Mm.
as opposed to in my younger years. But what I loved about listening to some of your interviews were that when you were taking on your earlier roles, and actually from a very early age as an actor, you were like, no, this is important. Like, this is
Hmm.
important. I'm going to take a stand and come out and be who I need to be. But that must have been scary for you as well, because you were just a kid. You were so
It,
young.
it wasn't not scary. But I don't know if you've ever felt like you were, um, if there was ever a time in your life where you felt like you were in alignment with your purpose.
Mm,
And when I was 19 years old and doing my so-called life, I felt like I was aligned with my purpose. I
mm,
understood the assignment. Um, And I look back at that and I think, oh, how did I understand that assignment so early? But I
Yeah.
did, and I understood the power of that representation. I understood what it would have meant to me. So I understood what it would mean for other people. And um, I think owning up to who you are and being proud of who you are should be easier than it is. But um, I found it pretty easy despite the fact that I knew I had to come out to my parents, and that was the hardest part. And that was a lot, that was a journey of education and acceptance that we went on together. Um, and we came out stronger on the other side. And that's the honest to goodness truth. And I am so grateful for the opportunity of playing Ricky because he did allow me to be that representation for a whole generation of young people who just wanted to see themselves portrayed on screen and see their lives reflected back at them. And it was an honor to be Ricky Vasquez, to be as honest in that depiction as I possibly could be because I knew what it would mean for people.
I listened to you talk there about, understanding your alignment, your purpose so young. I think I only maybe understood mine in the last 2, 3 years. Better late than never.
Some people don't at all. And so, which is why I
That's
find it so, you know, I marvel at the fact that I had that experience at 19, 20 years old,
mm,
that it set me up for the rest of my life in a way. It in some ways it made it harder, right? Because then I just kept looking for that kind of experience where I could be of service through my art, um, which, doesn't happen often. So,
no.
how to balance the need to work and of being of service. And so part of the way that I navigate that or have navigated that is um, not just not just taking on roles that mean something to me personally and that I feel like will be culture changing, but outside of my acting work to take on responsibilities within the LGBTQ community and the movement um, to help progress us towards our ultimate goal of allowing people to love who they love and be who they are. And it's why, you know, I still feel like I'm in alignment by chairing the board at GLSEN, which works to make schools safe for LGBTQ
Mm.
students, um, which was something that which is something that still resonates with me even all these years after playing Ricky Vasquez, someone who needed a glisten, who needed a GSA, but they didn't even exist back then. So my purpose and being aligned in my purpose now is making sure that the experience of young people, LGBTQ young people in schools, is better than the one that I had and better than the one that Ricky Vasquez had.
Oh, 100%. Oh God, I look back to my school years because I grew up quite, it was quite a long time ago when I was at school. For both of us, I
I feel
think.
you.
But you know
Yeah,
what? We look great, Wilsons.
we
Now,
do.
pat in the back for us. It's not all over past 40 and into your 50s. In fact, I think that I'm doing some of the best things that I can do now with my creativity in my 40s, and I know that it will get better. Do you feel that now? I mean, you're doing great work, you have done, but looking at where you are now back then, are you like, no, I feel even better? Does it feel good?
I feel better now because I'm more confident in what I do, in
Yeah,
how I do it, and in my ability to do it.
yeah.
Um, but that comes only with experience and time, right? You can't fast forward that. Um, so I feel like I'm doing the best work I've ever done in my life, but I'm also being pickier about the kind of work that I do. Um, and so I feel like I'm in alignment, but creating a life of substance and that you can be proud of isn't an easy thing to do, right?
Oh,
Sometimes you have to like call yourself to task, which I do all the time. Um,
yes.
so anyway, but yes, I do feel like um, I've aged into some confidence.
Yeah, I think so. And you're right. I think I sometimes wish, no, I don't have any regrets because I think that's a bad way for your mind to
Mm.
go. No regrets ever. But I would like the waistline of my 25-year-old self with the wisdom of my 40-year-old self. No, I think
That's
that
real.
is
That's
look,
real.
only real talk on this podcast.
It's real talk. I want all of this white stuff to go away, right? And enjoy the onyx black hair I used to have.
You looked at like this is a lie, by the way. This is all a lie. A very expensive lie.
But I've embraced it. I'm fine. I'm fine. I've embraced it. It is what it is. It's not like I'm letting time just, have its way with me, but I'm fighting it at every inch of the way. But
Mm.
I'm also accepting myself in the way that I am every step of the way. Sometimes it's harder than others. Sometimes it's easier, but I do see myself aging, and I'm good with it. I'm gonna try and do it as gracefully for as long as I possibly can.
I'm the same. Not looking so. I don't look so graceful in the mornings. I'm not sure about you, but like
Nobody
trying
does.
to. And it's the noises you make when you get out of bed, or you.
Oh God.
Oh, oh, like
Well, mine is even worse, because I do my yoga every morning, but I feel like I sound like a set of maracas. Like everything just kind of cracks. It just sounds like Rice Krispies. That's what it sounds like in the morning. Rice Krispies. Just clack, 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 clack.
you heard it here first. Wilson Cruz sounds like Rice Krispies in the morning.
I do.
Actual Rice Krispies. I think though there's this. I think as humans, we have this tendency. God, we started with what makes you a fan, and now we've got very existential.
Yes, well,
This
welcome
is
to my life.
and mine. I think we're going to get on just fine. Um, I feel like there's a lot of not enjoying the moment, and especially in this industry, I've met, especially since I've moved to LA, I've met a lot of women in particular who are my age, and I'll just say my age. I don't care because I think we should normalize who we share a bed with or
Yeah.
how old we are or whatever. As long as you're not unkind, it doesn't matter, right? But a lot of my female counterparts or, actors that I know are like, don't say your age. You can't say
Oh
your
yeah.
age. Um, do you feel the same way that we should, that in our industry, it's like you can't say what you really like, you can't say who you really are, or are you, I mean, you seem quite honest about it.
Okay, so I have a couple of thoughts on this. I think part of the reason why I don't mind it is because everybody saw me grow up anyway, so they all know how old I am. They already know what ballpark I'm in because they aged with me. So they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I know how old he is." Um, I think there are people who are just starting out,
Mm.
who don't or haven't had the kind of public facing persona in their as they develop their career that I'm sure could play a variety of ages, a range of ages. And so I can understand why they wouldn't, as they get started, want to limit how people see them and
Sure.
what kinds of opportunities come to them. So I have empathy for those people.
Sure.
And I had the good fortune and the responsibility of aging in front of everybody.
I never thought of it like that, actually. I just am very keen now to normalize who you are in any sense and who you are, me, whatever. And sometimes when I have been doing stand up, I'll mention my
Mm.
age because it's just part of the story. People come up to me afterwards and they go, "God, you look great for your age." Like I've like I know it's not old. I mean, I don't know what don't know
I
what.
always say I look good for your age.
But like
Yeah.
coming back to fandoms, that
Yes,
kind of
yes,
thing. Because it's one of my podcasts and it's going to be chaotic and meandering as usual.
yes.
But when you were playing some of your most recent roles, say let's say Star Trek Discovery and things like
Mm.
that, what were fans relating to there with your character?
I think from what I understand, people related to him in a lot of ways,
Mm,
um, as a partner, right, of a very focused and ambitious husband. In the beginning, like that was who Hugh Culper was. He was the very supportive spouse, right? And through the 5 seasons, we see him grow into this person who insists on his own growth and his own success and happiness. That it's not just about being supportive of your spouse, but that you have to be responsible for your own goals as well. So there was that. I think people also related to Hugh in the sense that he was somebody who took full advantage of his second chance at life. And it serves as an analogy for anybody who sees their life at a certain point. Some maybe traumatic thing happens and they take stock of their life and go, you know what? This doesn't work for me anymore. I have to think about whether this relationship is right for me. Am I doing for a living what I should be doing? How do I feel about it? Can I do other things? So I think that he serves as a model for that, but also this is somebody who we saw deal with his own anxiety, right? This caretaker who really was overwhelmed with helping his friends and his partner navigate leaving everyone and everything they knew and going 900 years in the future, and all of the anxiety of the uncertainty that comes with that. And so I think we see him have literally an anxiety attack in one scene, and find a way to continue to be of service. So I think, you know, I can't say enough about the character. And then in the end, you know, this is someone who was continuing to ask good questions about, you know, the line between science and spirituality, right? Like it's such a fine line of science and faith, and becoming okay with the unknown, you know, and using that you know, acceptance of the unknown, that there are questions that we'll never have answers to and things we'll never know, and being okay with that, because that's just a fact of life. And that can heal some of your own anxiety. So, you know, I can't say enough about the guy. I learned a lot from him. I'll tell you that.
You know, I'm not an actor. I've done the stereotypical thing of doing classes in LA, and it's been real fun, very cathartic. And
it's been very cathartic my entire career.
Oh, that's a lot of my friends in the industry, and especially with a role like that, you know, what an excellent chance to explore yourself. What did you learn about yourself at the end of that? Do roles like that really change you and change your mindset?
Oh, for sure. I mean, he changed me cellularly, right? He made me ask big questions about my own life, about what I've been willing to accept and not willing to accept anymore. You know, my desire to be in the kind of loving relationship that he ended up in and not settling for less than the kind of supportive, loving partnership that we created. I want that for myself, you know. You know, he taught me patience, and he taught me that at any point in my life, if I become dissatisfied with the way it's going, that I have the power to change that. We all do. When I played Ricky Vasquez, that was the most cathartic, therapeutic experience I've ever had, because I was 4 years older than him, right? And 4 years older, and I got to relive some of the most difficult moments of my life that paralleled the story Ricky was experiencing. And it was really, really therapeutic and cathartic to be able to go through that, use it in order to tell a story that would be of service to people, and just leave it there and walk away from it and move on. And it's why I think I was able to reconcile with my father so quickly, because I had let go of all of the hurt and the anger, and accepted it for what it was supposed to be.
How wonderful. I mean, there are people that have watched you play these roles And you're describing your experiences, and they're probably reflecting on theirs when they're watching you. But have there been any roles that you've watched, or films or TV shows that you've watched where you've gone, wow, that character right there, ones that you've not played, that character's changing me. I'm a fan of that character because I see myself. Can you think of any?
My friend John Huertas played Miguel on This Is Us. It's
Mm-hmm.
an old friend of mine. Um, and he there was in the final season, there was one episode that just focused on him and his life because he was never the center of the story until that episode.
Yeah.
And his relationship with his mother, watching this Puerto Rican man navigate his entire life as best as he possibly could. I wasn't expecting for that to be as resonant to me as it was. It really, like I was a puddle
Oh.
on that couch right there watching it because he was so brilliant, but also was beautifully written. And I had never seen the story of someone just like me centered on television before in my entire life. Down to the food they were eating and that speaking in Spanish to each other, the family dynamic. It was really quite moving. But I also watched Fellow Travelers recently, and to see that history play out of our community, part of a history that has rarely been told, especially in depth that way, um, was also really moving. Seeing your history um, represented and told in an honest depiction in a responsible way is really powerful. It resonates in a deep way. So yeah, I could probably go down the list. I mean, watching Rita Moreno when I was a young, you know, little older than a toddler probably for the first time, and just noticing that she looked like all of my tias and my mom, and was somebody who could be in my family, who was on this historic film, who ended up winning an Oscar, like gave me permission. She was my possibility model
Yeah.
at a very early age. She planted that seed.
I love that possibility model. I don't think I ever had a possibility model. I never really
Mm.
had someone that looked or sounded quite like me, but um
Well, you're so unique
well, thanks, Wilson.
in the best possible way.
You're my most favorite podcast guest. Thank you. No, but it's when you're growing up, like it feels very isolating, I suppose, but I think one thing that I thought growing up was I really liked making people laugh, and that's the thing. And I really loved comedic performances and love making people laugh. I think it's that way when when you. I don't know if you felt like this growing up, but there was moments where they weren't so joyful. So all I ever want to
Most of my
do,
childhood.
yes, same. So you kind of want to give that out. Do you feel like that
Yeah.
now? Because now I love, like, even if I'm performing to one person, if that one person is laughing, I'm like, job done. Very happy. Do you still feel like that?
Yes. I just had a thought when I was listening to you talk that,
Oh, go.
when we're young people, um, we find all of these things that make us different from everyone else and want to change them
Mm,
in order to fit in. And it's interesting that when you grow up, you become an adult and you're starting to navigate the world, you realize that all of those things that you hated that made you different are really your superpower. They are the thing that makes you different from everybody else, that makes you distinct. Like most people who grew up in the LGBTQ community, I had a moment when I was young where I
mm,
wanted to be anything but me and but that.
mm,
And it has been so rewarding to be a part of a community that believes in love, that believes in the human spirit and believing in being exactly who you're supposed to be. And being a part of that storytelling has been incredibly satisfying and gratifying and fulfilling and rewarding. But when I think about the fact that, I tried to pray it away for
yep.
years.
It's
So it's still satisfying. It's still a gift when I'm at a convention or when someone sends me a message online and says, you're that character helped me, or I saw myself in you and you helped me, you know, get through another day. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than that.
100% because we've come, when I think back from when I was at university and I met my best friend there, he'd come out at that point. We'd met and then he came out shortly after. I mean, I knew, but for him it was a
Right.
big deal. I was like, I know, but he really like keyed me up for it because it's a big deal. And I'm like, he
It's,
was,
especially back then, right? Like, you
yeah,
know, I had to work up the the bravery,
it's not an easy
to be able
thing.
to say it to anybody at that
Yeah,
point.
it's
Yeah. I
not
mean, we
easy.
were ostracized. Yeah, this is like way before anybody was talking about gay marriage. We didn't think we were ever going to be able to get married. That wasn't even a thought. I
No,
didn't plan for that. I
no.
didn't plan for that. When I was a kid, um, and this is true for a lot of gay people that I know and I've heard them say similar things.
Mm,
Um, when I was a kid, when I thought about my future, I prepared for a future without my family. I prepared for a future without friends. Um, I tried to learn all of the things. I tried to learn how to do everything myself because I never thought I was ever going to have anybody who was going to help me do any of it. So I better figure it out on my own. Um, but that's different now. I don't hear that necessarily from young people now, and I'm so grateful. I mean, let's be real. There are places in the world where, and in this country where
hmm
that is true for some people, but not for the majority of people anymore. And
hmm
that's progress.
Yes, I think there's always going to be a fight. The fight has just moved, or the goalposts have changed
Mhm.
slightly in terms of where that is. But simply coming out was, I remember the fear in his voice. Like it's a real, like, I feel for him.
Yeah,
Now living his best life in LA, really happy. Like
yeah,
so, it's totally different times now. But what I like about these times is we can have, and we have it online now. So, and we have shows that bring people together and things like that. You're right. There's communities now, and there's kids that can talk more
yeah. I mean, it's
freely.
still a vulnerable thing to do. It's still a
Yes.
very vulnerable thing to do.
Mm.
It was really vulnerable back then.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I of course not. I hadn't considered you are preparing for a life without anyone.
Yeah,
And I think about it now, my friends who are out and proud, and they've got like lots of friends and family around. It's not always the case, but I'm happy for them. So I think if you as an actor can give that comfort to someone, that's
I'll try.
the
Yeah,
ultimate
I hope
kindness.
so. I mean,
No.
I don't hope so. I don't just hope so. I know that I have, and I'm really grateful for people who have been vulnerable enough to share that with me.
Mm,
Um, it has fueled me through some really difficult times,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Because the life of an actor, especially the life of an openly gay actor of color, is is not an easy one. It could be treacherous, and um, it's no exaggeration to say that it is the goodwill and the good wishes and the gratitude that has been shown to me through my own fans and people who've been touched by my work that has literally gotten me through those moments.
I
That
love
is the
that.
honest to goodness truth.
I'm really happy. And honestly, like you have done so much good work, and not only your work but your words as well. Like incredible. So you should be incredibly proud of yourself. I think it's
I try to
wonderful.
be.
No, I've watched so many interviews with you before we spoke today, and I was like, wow, like it made me think, what am I doing with my life, Wilson?
You're doing great. I'm just like everybody else trying to do it as best as I can.
So you're Streamily signing. You're going to get
Yeah.
to talk to the fans and interact with them. Are you excited? And how's that going to be? Like, what are you looking forward to?
Well, it's my first one, so I'm a little nervous. But one of my favorite things to do is to go to these conventions and have face-to-face interaction with people who are fans, which is always weird for me to say. But I mean, we as actors love to hear how we've affected anyone through our work. And so I'm always gratified by the experience. And people love to make me cry. So so I look forward to the tear session.
Oh no, just have a box of tissues next to your,
Yeah.
don't smudge, just don't smudge
Right.
the pen, just don't smudge anything. But it'll be lovely interacting because I always feel like it's the physical manifestation of your work because you're behind the camera or on a
Yeah.
stage, right?
But and then, some people, I know that a lot of people can't get to these conventions. They can be expensive to drive to or, to attend, and it can be expensive. And so if we can like cut out the middleman here and make it an online easy access thing, so to speak, then I think it's a cool thing. I think it opens up all sorts of possibilities.
You said you were nervous. What are you
Yeah.
nervous about though?
I live in a nervous space. I'm just an anxious person. I'm working on it. I'm
Same.
actively working on it. But I never want to disappoint.
Yeah.
They're spending their hard-earned money. They're taking the time to spend some time with me, and I want to make sure that I make it worth their while.
There's nothing to be nervous about. You're going to smash it. And I always feel like with work, I'm anxious inside, but very efficient on the outside. But with my personal life, it's just a mess. So like everything, I'm like, you. Not that that has anything to do with your Streamily setting, but just keep it together. You'll be fine.
No,
Like
I'm gonna keep it together. I'm gonna keep it
it's
together.
fine. You're gonna be great. Just don't smudge. Just remember not to smudge. I've been
No
told
smudging.
to have extras. That's what everyone always says. They always have
Yes.
extras. And people can people ask you anything on the stream as well?
Oh, yeah. I've probably been asked anything they could possibly imagine asking me anyway. So
Okay.
then it's up to me whether or not I want to answer it or not. But I appreciate, the willingness to ask.
We're gonna practice. You ready? You gotta yes and this shit, right? You ready?
Yes, and
Okay, I'm gonna ask you anything.
okay.
Oh my god, it's Wilson Cruz. Oh my god, like thank you so much for signing that print for me. What color of underwear are you wearing right now?
Red. Red, yeah. Red and black. Actually, little red and black leopard. Yeah.
Oh, is there a leopard print going on there?
Yeah, little leopard print. Red and black.
Okay,
It's just for me. I'm the only one who gets to see.
Okay, next question. What was the worst date you ever went on? Can you say?
Oh my God, it was recently. So
Same.
cute, but like a bit arrogant, I have to say. And that's a huge turnoff for me. I love confidence. I want you to be confident and ambitious and all that, but I think I'm going to draw the line at arrogant.
But piggybacking off the back of that, my final ask you anything would be, oh my God, Wilson, but what are you like on a first date?
I like to think that I'm inquisitive and curious and forthcoming, I think. I like to go to dinner, and have some, a lot of people like go to the movies. I'm like, you go to the movies, you're not talking to each other. You're watching a movie.
Yeah.
So I like to have dinner, maybe some coffee and like a walk. I live in front of a really beautiful park, and sometimes, it'll be around here. I think that, anything that allows for freewheeling conversation. I want to find somebody who I can talk to for the rest of my life, right?
Yes, someone you can just hang out with that's
Right.
like a good friend that you want to rip their clothes off.
Exactly.
Is it so hard? Jesus. God.
Where is he?
But I'm sure you're going to be great. I'm sure the Streamily signing will be wonderful.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, we're going to put your details in the YouTube description below, your Streamily shop and everything like that. Where can we find you on social media, though? You're on Instagram, right?
I am on Instagram and Threads, pretty active, WCruz73. And I'm on Facebook for all of those boomers out there who still use it.
And yeah, if you want to visit Wilson's Streamily shop, just visit streamily.com and just search for Wilson Cruz, CRUZ. We'll have the date of the signing and everything like that in the description below and on our social media, Streamily on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Wilson, you have been an absolute joy and a pleasure to speak to. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Right back at you. I'll see you guys online.
See you very soon. I've been with Claire. This has been Wilson, and we will see you soon. Take care. Bye.